Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kamala Patni. Welcome you to the Manav Utsav event, which is the Human Festival during South Asian Heritage Month. I'm the founder of Celebrate Our Similarities, and I welcome you today to an interview with an amazing person, Yasin El Ashrafi. He's the founder of a record label, and also, I'm proud to say, British Empire medal holder. There's very few and far between, I believe, in Leicester. So I feel privileged to be able to introduce him to our audience here. I'll explain a little bit about Celebrate Our Similarities. We are a community interest company. We are about sharing good practice examples around the key themes of humanity. I'll probably intersperse that into the conversation as we go along. So I won't bore everyone with the same information if you've already heard it. So welcome, Yasin. Good afternoon.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you. I mean, before we start, we met at the CSR, Leicester CSR, what was it called? Oh gosh, I can't even remember the name.
It was the Embark CSR event.
That's it, yes. And I was really impressed with your presentation and your history, actually. And that was only a few weeks ago, and how much we've worked together already since then, which is amazing. So it just goes to show that, when you meet the right people, things can actually develop quite quickly in making social impact. So thank you very much. So before we start, do you want to give a little bit of a history about who you are, how long you've been in Leicester, what's your motivation, what you do?
Yeah, of course. So I've been in Leicester my whole life. So I'm Leicester born and bred. I'm 42, so quite a long time. And basically, I started off years ago. Started off doing community music projects. So I used to go into community centres and libraries, and with my friends who all had music skills, but nobody was really, kind of using it to do much, but then it was more for fun than for work, I suppose, So when I was younger, I was on a project with Soft Touch, and when I was older and I decided I had to start a business, I thought, well, who does what Soft Touch does but for adults? And there was nobody doing it. So I decided to start a community interest company to try and help people, especially from deprived communities. So I kind of grew up on council estates and single parent household, and didn't really have positive male role models to look up to, and I kind of ended up going down a bit of a bad path because of it. And I felt like as an adult, once I'd got my life together, I felt like maybe if I would have had a mentor and some positive activities to do, maybe I would have got been better sooner. So I decided just to start doing community music projects, and it kind of all started there. So we did a couple, and it was really good. And then I got a chance to take over a recording studio. So I did that because it would give us somewhere to work from, but then also because it could give us a business, like a business to actually try and make money from, to become sustainable. So yeah, we took the studio on, and then I ended up doing events and took on a nightclub for a while, and literally for the last 12 years now, I've just been kind of working within music, events, the arts, using music, media, but also focusing on like enterprise activities, so giving practical skills to make people more employable. And yeah, some of the people I was working with were really, really talented. So I ended up starting a record label so that I could put their music out. Some of them started getting offered shows and business stuff, so I started managing some of them, and it's just been kind of I suppose a snowball. Like there's not really much music business infrastructure in Leicester, so I think I've just took it upon myself to try and build it. So, and I think my inspiration, it comes from, a lot of it comes from my son, to be honest, because when my son was born, he was born with the cord around his neck and he's got severe cerebral palsy. And I knew that I had to, I lost my job basically looking after him. But the job wasn't just a job. It wasn't, it wasn't a passion. It was just I used to work in a warehouse, so it wasn't anything that was, I just used to like it because it was quite physical and I thought I didn't mind it. But with Kai, I knew that I had to find a way to have flexible working hours, and and also, to be honest, I know that anything for disabled people is quite expensive, so all of a sudden it's like, we're going to need more money. I need to do something that A, I can have some passion for, but B, that there could be a potential that I can do well in it, rather than kind of just in a minimum wage job. So I got another job as a delivery driver, and I started building a business in my dinner time and after work, and it took me about a year to first get started. And then once I got started, I kind of just started doing more and more, and then eventually I was part-time at work and then part-time in music, and then after a couple of years I managed to go full-time, and then it's just been a journey ever since, just building it more and more all the time.
That's amazing. I mean, it just goes to show that where there's an opportunity and somebody's got the talent, you can't hold somebody down. You can find a way. And I'm sure a lot of people that will be hearing your story will be inspired to think that, yeah, I can do this now. It is possible. And in a way, this is the ideal time, like the Human Festival, but where people who haven't had the opportunities to nurture this kind of a passion, that when they can make it, they're actually helping others, giving them a hand, a lift up, as it were. And I think that's really nice to hear that coming from somebody who's actually put all that effort in, managed to do it, but still wants more for others, So tell me about your studio. So what is your studio, and what exactly does that involve? And give us some examples of the people that you're helping, what their backgrounds are, and how, where they are at the moment, kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, with the studio is called HQ Recording Studio, and we're based on 38 Charles Street, so it's a great central location. It was actually home to Formation Records and 5HQ Record Shop. So when I was a kid, I used to actually work for them, giving out flyers and stuff. So it was a bit of a dream come true to get this building, because a lot of my favorite music was made upstairs, and I never got to go upstairs as a kid. And basically it's like a one-stop shop. So it's more than a studio. We've got 3 studios, 2 that we hire out and 1 that we use as a training studio. We've got a photography studio and a media suite there. It's like we call it a creative hub. So we do master classes, we do training programs, and we can basically do everything in-house in one building. We can produce, record, we can mix, master, we can bring in musicians, we can then do the artwork, we can do videos, we can live stream performances, and we can do everything within the one building, which is great for us, because it means we can do stuff really fast. And the people that we work with is really diverse and broad, to be honest, so both on a commercial basis and on the training programs and on the actual roster of artists that I manage as well. So I've got people that are white middle class from Cambridge. I've got people who are, come from the council estates or had hard lives. I've got people that have maybe had mental health problems or are suffering with mental health problems. And then I've got like graduates or students who are trying to find their way in the career, so they might come to me and we do internships, so we do placement years for some students. So I've got 3 doing that at the minute, or just about to finish. We do the graduate champion scheme, so we take on music and media students to give them, I think for me it's about giving them practical experience, because it's easy to get the theory, but the practical side is what you need most. And like teaching people in the real world how quick things have to be done when people are paying. They want the job doing really fast, so it's like with clients that come in 2 hours, they want to walk away with a finished song. And we can do that, but it takes time. So yeah, with, like I say, with the community programs, we take referrals from NHS. We take people from maybe ex-offenders. We take the graduates, and yeah, just kind of anybody really. Is anyone for the funded stuff? Is anybody who's over 18 and unemployed. And then for the other side of it is people who I think this is going to help them progress their career or their life in some kind of way. And then for the management, the actual HQ familiar, I suppose that's the people who are most talented, most enthusiastic, who have got a real chance at maybe becoming famous, So we've got to that point now where some of the artists we're working with are doing like main stages at big festivals, or we've got a couple of projects that have got millions of streams now. We do big events. We've got a festival now called Brewbeat that we do every year. And it's getting to that point where things are getting, like we're getting noticed now, like nationally. We do some work internationally as well. So I work with some people in South Africa. I work with a guy in America and a guy in Holland, and just trying to create as many opportunities as we can for people to, to follow their dream, because it's, like I always say, everybody needs a passion and they need purpose, and I see a lot of people, they're following the wrong, they're not doing what they love or what really rewards them. So, I feel if somebody has got a passion and we can help them follow it, we should try and do what we can. And once we make the next superstars, then that'll open the door for more and more people to come through.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, from the way you're, in fact, I've just seen a question there. I'll ask you that one, and then I'll come back to the interview. Bhanu Jadeja Mahal is saying that she just joined. Was a bit late, but would you be able to help youth offenders as she works with the youth as a volunteer? And how can you perhaps get connected with?
So right at the minute, so I just had a 3-year project, which was a Reaching Communities project, but unfortunately that just finished in June. So I'm trying to apply for some more funding to get the next project up. So once that project is running, as long as they're over 18, then they can join the project. Obviously, because that kind of stuff is funded, it's places are quite limited. But I'm working on different things at the minute, maybe trying to talk to big companies about CSR, and that's why I was at the CSR event, to try and find ways to fund more people's time, because the thing is, it's always hard trying to give as many spaces that are required, or given the amount of time sometimes that somebody needs, so generally we get a pot of funding, it's for a certain amount of people for a certain amount of time. But on the flip side, if the service has any funding, we can also sell it as a commercial. So we sell the studio time, basically. We sell it for £30 an hour, and we put them with a facilitator, a music producer, sound engineer. So you can definitely email me, and if I can't help now, I'm sure I'll be able to help at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, I like the idea that you're connecting up the CSR side to see how you can have continuity with something that's worked, and I think that's one of the issues around the under represented projects that they get started and then that funding isn't continuous, and it just breaks that cycle unless people like yourself has the passion and determination to find alternatives and not just let it lie kind of thing. It requires that kind of a oomph, as it were, behind that kind of a project to succeed, which is a shame in a way, because from what you're just saying, it sounds to me like your studio is a rarity in Leicester. Are there any others that are equally as comprehensive in the services that you provide? Are there
No,
any?
to, no. To be honest, I think we're the only studio that does what we do to the level we do it at. You know, kind of, especially with adults. You know, so there's like I say, Soft Touch is a great organisation, but they're for young people. Pedestrian is great; they're for young people, and there's little things here and there, but I don't think there's anybody. There's nowhere that is so professional as us. You know, where it's like we can make music industry standard videos and music, and you know we're doing it to a level that is, I suppose, aspirational is what the young people really want, because they want to get famous, they want to be, you know, they're looking, and most of them, not everybody does. Some people just wants a safe, creative space where they can come and just forget about their problems and just make some music. But other people, it's like their dream to be a singer or a rapper or a producer or a YouTuber or whatever. And I think we're the only place I know of. In fact, no, there's definitely not nowhere else. We're the only place that can do it all in one building in Leicester. So I work with a lot of the other places, and they'll use our services as well for their young people. You know, like, so that's another thing actually about the youth offender. It could be a potential as well. Also look at soft touch arts or pedestrian, because they might have some opportunities in the meantime, especially if they're younger than 18. So, and then some people tend to then follow on to HQ as well.
Mm, mm. I mean, that's amazing. I think maybe Leicestershire Economic Partnership should take note of this, to say that, you know, uh, this sort of industry is so wanting, as it were, in Leicester. Leicester should get on the map for that. You know, we've had one or two major bands that have been created in Leicester, but in terms of continuous services, I think, you know, this sounds like a niche area that you've got no competition for either. And
Yeah.
what a lovely kind of a place to be, you know. So
It's a
maybe,
weird thing though, I'll be honest. I kind of in some ways wish there was more competition, because then it would mean that more people were doing it. And I kind of feel like sometimes I feel like it's a bit hard. I'm only one man. I can only do so much, you know. And I feel like there needs to be not only does my initiative need to be better supported, there needs to be more. You know, there needs to be, you know, like if we go to any big city, there's multiple. You know, like there's a lot of people doing stuff, you know, and it's like not everybody might necessarily gel with me and my team. Not everybody might want to come out into Leicester city centre. I feel like, you know, as a city, we should be doing as much creative stuff as possible, and there should be multiple hubs. And then, you know, a bit of competition. I don't really see anybody as competition anyway. I see it as potential collaborators. So I kind of feel then that would be good for our scene as a whole, because there would be more people doing stuff, the more noise we can make, you know, the more chance we've got of making something happen, you know. So I feel like a lot of the time it's a struggle, you know, to try and do everything for everybody, and you know, because we don't get funding from like local governments and stuff like that, it's a constant struggle of trying to balance what we want to do, what we have to do, and sometimes having to turn people away, which is always quite sad. You know, we don't want to turn people away, and sometimes like I've got a couple of people I've been working with for years when I probably was funded for 7 to 12 weeks, you know, but I just couldn't turn them away. So
well,
yeah,
that's
for
good,
me,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, and I think it happens a lot in this sector. You know, like we all want to help people, so you feel like turning them away. It could be, you know, you've done all this work to get somebody from a low place to a high place, and then it's like, okay, your time's finished now. See you later. It don't work, you know, and it's especially in the creative industry as well. The gap between, even if you've got a degree and you're a graduate, you know, the gap between how long it might take to finish your degree and earn enough money and full-time work to sustain yourself as a creative could be 5 to 10 years, you know. So I talk to a lot about people about maybe getting part-time jobs, you know, so that they don't lose everything that they've worked towards, you know. And I've seen it so much, like some of the most talented people you'll ever meet, you're never really going to hear the music because they give up before they really get started. So That's something that really only support and investment and an infrastructure can really do. Again, it's not the work of one person or one organization. We'll do what we can, obviously, and we have lofty ambitions, so we know we're going to do big things because, well, we work towards it every day. We make, like, I've got, like, yeah, with myself, I've got like 9 artists that I'm developing and managing, and then, like, over the course of the projects, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and some of them have now gone on to earning their wage through music, whether that's being producers or sound engineers, or they've started their own creative businesses or become promoters. So it's great because now we can see that we've got the case studies now, and there's the proof that it can happen, which we can use to inspire the other young people that you can do it. It's just, we'll be realistic though. It's going to take a long time and it's not going to be easy, but like, it can be done. Sorry, I've seen another question. Can we help community organizations organize and learn YouTube channels? Yeah, we can definitely do that. Again, it's something that at present we would have to charge for, just because we don't have the capacity to keep doing things for free. But yeah, as a service, everything we do, we will offer to anybody, whether it's around YouTube or social media or audio services, media services. Like, we can, and what we do is we don't just treat it like a normal transaction. We always try and give the best possible advice and experience for every customer, whether that's a voluntary organization or someone off the street. We always want to try and give them a bit extra, make sure they leave feeling really happy with what they've got.
That's great. And I think, I mean, even from our point of view, celebrate our similarities. We have a similar ethos that we also have lofty ambitions. I think I was mentioning that the other day, that, the areas that we work in, both of us, are areas that are underrepresented in the mainstream, and actually they have so much to offer. And I love the idea that you talk about collaborating. You want more competition, but we want to collaborate with people as well. And our ambition, one of our ambitions, is to make Leicester an exemplar city, a beacon for social change, and how to do things differently, with kindness, with empathy, and with collaboration. You can achieve a lot more, and in a way, this Human Festival is about that. How do you bring about the positivity, work together, and actually amplify that approach? I love what you've just said. So the more people that hear this, and the more people that engage with us respectively and build on this, the more chance there is that the funding bodies will be more open to support our work. And then, of course, as a result, our research and our practical portfolios will be able to prove themselves, and it just builds from that. So thank you for that. That's
one thing I do always say as well, whenever I help somebody, I always try and say to them, like, look, if I help you, I don't want anything in return, but if you can pay it forward and then try and help someone else. So, and it's trying to, like, build that, I suppose, that network of mentors, and related, like you say, is we're working with maybe underrepresented groups. It's maybe going to be more diverse, different cultures, and it's, maybe people who might not usually get involved with more mainstream stuff or might not even know about it. So I think it's important for us to say, look, we're going to help you, and then you help someone else, and then, and it's like, I always say, it's like a snowball effect then. So it's like, if I can help one person who then goes on to help 10 people, who then goes on to help 3, eventually it's like, we're not saying we're going to change the world, but we can make part of it better, and we can impact certain people's lives in a positive way. And then, when you're happy and someone's done something good for you, you're more likely to do that, and I'll be honest, when I was younger, I was a bad lad, and I was a troublemaker. I got kicked out of school, and I think a lot of it was because I didn't think there was anything to look forward to. It's like there was nothing really, no one was really trying to help me, like it was. And I feel like then it's like, well, I didn't care because I felt like no one really cared. So it's the same thing. And then it's like when you take that on and someone does something really good for you, like, oh, you know, like it kind of makes you realize there is good people who will do good things for you, who will go out of their way, you know, just to try and help you for no, you know, just for no personal gain, just to, okay, you know, this is gonna. And my mum always told me, like, I'll be honest, when I first started my business, I was talking about money. I was like, oh, maybe one day I could be on 50 grand a year, or, you know, because I was on minimum wage at that time. And she was like, stop talking about money, because I know you, whatever you get, you're going to spend it anyway. She was like, but if you can help people, she was like, that's going to give you more of a reward than anything financial you can have. And you know what? She's right. I call it soul food. I think, you know what I say when I help people, that feeling of maybe someone's mum's like, oh, you've saved his life, or you know what, it's turned his life around now. You know, when so that gratitude that comes back and knowing that you've done that for somebody, I think that's powerful. That feeds the soul. You know, money, you get some money, you can feed yourself, you can sustain yourself. But I think that reward is much bigger for me. So, and my mum passed away while I was setting up my business. So I've always, ever since, always kind of thought, well, she's watching. I've got to make her proud, and you know, not focus on money. Although I have no like, I don't mind saying like I do, and I will be a millionaire, because the goals I have set myself, I have to get to that level, and I will get to that level, because I feel like my city needs that, my artists need that, and it's like to achieve what I've set out to achieve, that's going to be a byproduct. But I don't. It's not that I need that for financial sake. I have my own reasons around wanting to build a house that my son can access in his wheelchair, and there's reasons where it will make things better. But I also know the bigger I become, the more people I can help. You know, the less reliant I have to be on funding and jumping through hoops and red tape and you know that kind of thing. And then we can just do it in the way that we want for as many people as we want.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's wonderful. That reminded me with you talking about soul food, and you know, you came to the event that we held the other day on the power to change, and I mean, just out of interest, what did you think? Because I mean, before I ask you that, I just wanted to say that that was about peace education and how that changed the lives of people that are vulnerable to knife crime and other crimes in London. And it was specific to London. And I think Leicester's got a different demographic as well, but the same problems, you know. You know, that approach is very much about what you just said, that we're not about changing the world, it's about changing ourselves first, and having the gratitude to be able to help other people with empathy and understanding, and one person at a time. And you know, we started that peace education after that event. We've started it at the De Montfort. In fact, we've got 2 more sessions left this week, and then we're going to go out in the community as well. So if anybody's listening and they would like us to come out to your groups or family groups, or any, you know, voluntary organizations or whatever, we're happy to talk to you first about what it is. You have to understand what it is, and we can take it from there. But how do you see? I know you mentioned at the event that we've got to do something. We've got to work together and do something. How do you see? How can you help COS develop this idea and bring it to Leicester in the way that we were talking the other day?
Well, I think, you know what, firstly, I will say about the event, I did find it inspiring, and I liked that there was, you know, it's potentially, it always has the potential to be quite a dark subject, because we're talking about violence and stabbings and obviously stuff that's really serious. But I really liked the whole peace side of, you know, like helping people to find peace within themselves, because I've always said, you know, kind of, when people are in a bad situation, just a threat of something happening is not the way to go. You know, I've always had a incentive-based approach, you know, so I feel like it's not about scaring everybody. Oh, well, we need longer sentences, or, well, you know, like, and I think, you know, things are often advertised in the wrong way. So it's kind of like, now we're getting everybody scared and they're more likely to carry a knife potentially because they think everybody's got a knife now. Whereas, if I'm honest, I feel like obviously stabbings have gone up, and it's a bad situation. But I think part of that might be to do with social media, and I think part of it is probably there's more of it is reported and people know more about it. I think there's always been a lot of violence, but I think it's focused, and I think it's maybe sensationalized a little bit as well. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like this way of trying to look at, okay, so how can we help somebody feel better about themselves, better about their surroundings, give them some hope and some aspiration, then I feel like that's the way to go. And I think things that can be done is similar things to like what they were showing, like is highlighting more people's success stories, of people who have come from that life and turned their back on it, more the realities of it, but I think, and also is by creating more opportunities, because like for kids, for young people growing up, if you think there's nothing for you where you live, there's going to be no jobs, you're going to get rubbish jobs, rubbish pay, doing something you don't want to do, they might turn to selling drugs, or they might think that kind of stuff's glamorous because they can earn maybe in a few days what they could earn in a week or a month doing a job in a warehouse or in a shop or whatever, So I think, like part of it needs to be about how can we create more opportunities for people, and how can we make them have that self-belief to actually aspire to be more than just on the streets? How can we make them aspire to be business owners, and I think this is something I'm quite passionate about as well, to be honest, is enterprise. Like people don't really teach kids, especially kids from certain backgrounds and certain areas, really about being self-employed. I feel like everybody's just trained to get a job, and it don't work for a lot of people. Like I think a lot of people, especially like if you're anti-authority, you're getting a job, you're getting a boss, someone who's going to tell you what to do, and they might. But I think sometimes being able to, they might not want a job, but they might want to start their own business. And it could be anything. It don't have to be music or creative industries, but there's so many jobs where being somebody who can, have that self-belief to be a leader and, like to actually just have that, I suppose, that confidence to take something on and risk it. Because obviously it's business. It might go wrong. You might lose your money. It might go under. But then, you start. I've had a few businesses that have come and gone, and I've dealt a lot with imposter syndrome over the years. And I know a lot of other people that have done. And I feel like if we can educate kids at an earlier age about all the different opportunities, so that if you don't come out, if you come out of school without good marks or without a GCSEs or a degree, it don't mean that you're a loser. And again, I was expelled from school. I've got no GCSEs, I've got no degree, but I've probably helped 100 graduates get experience. And I've started loads of businesses, and I found a way to become successful. But I feel like there should just be more teaching of that kind of stuff. I'm actually working on some stuff around the Future Influencers Academy, and some of that is going to be around getting these kind of inspirational pieces, but also information stuff to put into schools. So I'm working with the LEP now. I'm a cornerstone employer for the LEP, so that's going to give me a way in that I can get this information out, and also it can, I think, help, I suppose, demystify the creative industries, but also educate, all the different jobs there are in it, not just the singer or a rapper, the director, the runner, the post-production guy, the locations, it's a massive industry, but a lot of people, especially if you're outside of London, you have to either have your own business or you have to be self-employed or sole trade. You've got to be able to take on these types of things, but I go into schools and none of them really know about this stuff, and even the graduates that come to me as graduates, often they don't really know, they're still just looking for a job, often that don't exist, and so we might help teach them, you have to be able to make an invoice, you've got to be able to get your own work, build your own portfolio, and then it's like something clicks and okay, so I can be my brand as an artist or as a videographer or whatever, and it's kind of, I think, yeah, create more opportunities, give better education, and give more relatable success stories. And that's what's important as well. Like we celebrate people often only when they get to the very top. And often they're that big by then. They're not really going to come back and give back because they've already made it, often without much help.
No, that's it. I mean, in a way, that's the problem, isn't it? If you get to the top quickly without much effort, your motivation is not about helping anybody else. It's about yourself. But where you worked hard, you know what it takes to get to where you want to go to, and then you look back and you actually have gratitude and whatever. But I think you've answered the next question. Would you like to be doing some industry teaching for the DMU? Do you want to add
I've done a
anything?
little bit. I've done a little bit. I've done some guest lectures on for the festivals and arts management. I have briefly spoke to some people at DMU about potentially doing some industry, maybe doing an industry module. So that might be next year or the year after. So yeah, it is something that I would like to do because, again, I feel like it's important. Like I say, when I first started, I give people a taster, and I'm like, okay, if you get a taster in music, what do you do then? Okay, we go college. Well, then what do you do then? Oh, you need a placement. And what do you do then? You go uni. What do you do then? You need an internship. What do you do then? So for me, it's about, like, I suppose, fill in the circle, So if I work with someone and they go to college, I give them a placement. If they go to uni, I'll give them an internship. If they then graduate and they want to stay, I'll help them to go freelance, and I'll let them use my studio to do that from. And I think that's important, because I think otherwise, I may as well tell them go and get a trade, So I think it's important, to let people know this is how you can do it, not just work for me, try and work for everybody, and we're in an age where you can actually work from home as well. You can, if you're talented enough, you can, I know people who sit and make beats at home and sell them online, and they've become successful doing it. So I think for me, it's important to, I think, give them the dose of reality and let them know, like, look, you can do it, but it might take you 5 years, it might take you 10 years, but then try and help them find, okay, well, what's the pathway to that success? How can we help you make it happen? So we don't end up 60 grand in debt for a degree and then go and work in a bar or, like as a restaurant manager. And a lot of people do it, and I see it often, and I think it's not like a waste, but I just feel like there's so much talent that it never comes to the top. And I think, or they end up leaving, and our talent goes to London because that's where the money is and that's where the business is. It's like, well, if we're a big city, a big proud city, like, we should be nurturing this here and like claiming it and supporting it. And I know some of the problems are around, like, I know, like, financially, there's not loads of money around and stuff like that. And I know, because we don't have combined local authorities, that creates a barrier to big investments like that other cities might get. So I know there's a lot of barriers, but for me, I'm all about trying to find solutions rather than, I know what the problems are, so let's try and find a solution for them.
I'm right behind you on that one. I think that's the just find ways forward rather than saying what the issues are and why we are not doing something. So two things whilst you were talking. I know two brothers, Asians in Leicester, that have both studied away, and they did music, and I think I might refer them to you, actually. That's one thing. And the other thing, I take back what I said about the LEP then. They've already got you as a cornerstone employer, so or a partner.
Yeah,
So,
I'm quite new. I'm quite new to the partnership, but yeah, and you know what, the LEP are being really good as well. To be fair, I think they understand there's a lot of gaps in the creative industries education, and that they're really open to me trying to help fill some of these gaps. And I'm working with Alan at DMU. We've created the Future Influencers Academy, and the LEP have actually they've actually sponsored the first pilot. So we're going to pilot that activity over the summer, and that's something that we can then roll that out to different people, different places, and I think that could be great. For 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 the next generation. You know, like I say, I think for me, it's a long. We've got to look quite far ahead. You know, I think
Yeah.
not to be negative, but there's things take time, and there's a lot of stuff that we're doing now that the impact's going to be 5 years, 10 years down the line. So, but we can't help everybody right now. We can help some people, but if we can, I feel like if enough people are pushing for the right things, we can create that actual systemic change.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and I think that's what it's all about for me. And I know there's a real appetite for it, that everybody's talking about diversity and inclusion and accessibility and how can we do this? Because if we're honest, like, that's the majority of Leicester. You know, it's not the majority of Leicester isn't wealthy white middle class. You know, that's a minority.
55% is BME now.
Exactly.
55%.
And then if
It's a
we look at the
majority.
working class within that as well, you know, and
Yeah.
I do say, you know, I feel like the system is old and it needs to be adapted now, you know, because it is a system that's been made by white middle class people for white middle class people. And it's like they say we want to be inclusive, but then the forms are so hard to fill in that, you know, I struggle. I'm 12 years in the third sector and I'll struggle to get an arts council or a PRS bid, or you know, like even like local council funding. And sometimes, again, people can give up because it's you work so hard on something and then you don't get no money. Or sometimes you get other organisations that are big organisations run by white middle class people. Not this is nothing. I'm not anti-white middle class, but I'm just saying like some observations. And then they will come and get a community organisation to do the work, and then they'll then use our case studies for to justify what they did with their £1 million, where we
This is yeah, absolutely. This is why Cos is saying, because we know we've got the right ingredients to make change happen. It's going to take time, and I always say to people, trust us and have patience with us, but don't take away the idea that we're developing. You support it. We'll collaborate with you. We don't have a problem with you getting our contacts, and you make other partnerships and whatever, but don't undermine what we're doing so that we can actually all work together, because there's just so much that needs doing in the first place. And
well,
it
that
needs
comes back to
funding.
collaboration as well versus
Yeah.
competition. And we've had
Yeah.
that as well before. I've told somebody a name, a project idea, and then they've done my project before.
Yeah.
And then it's like, come on, that's not. But you know what? Maybe then I look back. The thing is, well, I always say like imitations that will say the finest form of flattery. So you know what? It was good enough he'd steal, but I will be honest now, I don't actually talk about anything until we've got a contract there, you know, or until it's past the point where someone can steal it. And I think that's because of that competition thing. And I think you get a little bit like crabs in a bucket, you know, because it's like everybody's trying to clamber for this little pieces of money, and there's not enough they feel like there's not enough to go around.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I think that just ends up detrimental to everybody, and that's why we've been trying in Leicester for years to create the right kinds of consortiums, and often they crumble for those reasons, or because you know a lot of people can't justify putting in time for free of the potential of getting something in the future. And that's where I'm at. I struggle a lot now with, you know, because I get asked to do so much things, and some of it's paid and some of it isn't, and it's like I have to say now it's no now to a lot of stuff, but it's I suppose it's bittersweet because I know some of these things I really want to do, but then I can't keep doing them. And I know it's the same for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Times there's only so many hours in the day, and I get to the point where I'm double booking, triple booking myself.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, and in fact, this was a question that I was going to ask you, and somebody's now put it up. But before we go on to that one, I just wanted to say that from what you've said and what we're doing, well, I would like to just put it out there to say that in September, COS is going to be celebrating the 3rd year. I haven't got our banners here today, but normally we do. So we've been celebrating International Day of Peace for 3 years. This is the 3rd year, and we've got again lofty ambitions, but we've got a plan that we want to deliver on peace and climate this year, and we're hoping to use the Morningside Arena. And we've had initial discussions with the DMU as well as Nick Kotecha, and hoping that we can develop this idea. It's not a given. We want to build it up, but what we need is people like yourself working with us. We are saying that cause wants to lead it. We've got like Celebrate Life, who are probably able to bring some artists that they're working with to Leicester as well. Because it's September, we've not got long to go. So we want to put all this together, and we'd love to work with you on that. So
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Actually, as well on climate, I'm going to say so. We've got a comment from Ocean Song
that
2030.
was my next thing.
Yeah,
Over to
so
you.
that's someone that's I'm working with someone, and we know. Well, he's gonna tell me off if I get any of this wrong. And I didn't have a great sleep last night, but I'm going to try and explain it as best as I can. So basically, we're doing a project around using music to help spread awareness of like what's going on, like the environmental issues. So this ocean song is a project we're doing where we've got the first demo, and we're going to be doing a competition to make songs that are going to we're going to use that to spread awareness, and it's all about increasing protection for the oceans by 30% by 2030. And that's because we know that people who listen to music are more likely to really care about the environment, more likely to actually want to do something about it. So we feel like by using music and media, like that's a perfect way that we can kind of especially get to younger people, or and kind of use it as a way of educating people and try and over a period of time, let's try and actually make some change, because obviously we all love the ocean. Anyone who's been near the ocean loves it. Anyone who's been diving will say it's the best thing they've ever done, and like obviously it can't continue to just be degraded, so. And I think what someone else is putting here about someone said creativity is enormously adaptive for individuals and society, and that's by Dalia W. Zado. And I agree. I think music and being creative can unlock parts of people that you might not otherwise be able to tap into. So I'm a big believer of using music and the arts, and I just think it just brings down all barriers. Like if I look at my team, I've got people who have come from I've got people from Poland, people from Italy. I've got Greek. I've got Bob. I've got Bayesian. Like our team is so diverse, but we're all like HQ Familiar. It's called Familiar because we're like family. It's more than business. It's more than a project. Like we're like family basically, and everybody has to look out for each other and support each other. And I think that's what it is, because that brings you'd never see this group of people together in any other setting other than a music collective or this creative, and it's for me, I think music and media can just break down a lot of barriers. So I think if we can use it for good, then we should.
Well, you
So
see, that's the other thing. I mean, I think this would work really well, because one of the things that happened at the Glastonbury Festival this year is the peace ambassador that we were focusing on, the peace education program. He's the one that's constructed the peace education program. Now, he got a historic award from the Glastonbury Council just a couple of weeks ago, and he's connected with Leicester, for 50 years. We should be doing something, we should be actually celebrating that somebody is making such an impact around the world that
yeah.
we have a connection with, and so that's one thing that we can definitely.
Well, let's
I'll
get
be
let's
happy
get
to.
let's get the Ocean song on Glastonbury next year. Then
Well, no, let's get it here in September,
we
and
can
then
get it
it'll
here first.
automatically go on Glastonbury.
I
That's for
think
sure.
was looking to. I think the date, the hopeful launch date for that, I think is the 30th of August. So that should
Oh,
be
well,
finished.
ideal.
Yeah, it should be. It should be ready for September. So that is something that we can look into.
That'd be wonderful. That would be so good. I think we're definitely going on to looking into that for sure. Um, so there is a question here. Warning Zone is supported by Leicester's famous David Attenborough. This is yeah. So that's the other thing. I mean, I know these are, again. I keep saying, COS also has lofty ambitions. In September, we want to invite both the peace ambassador, because the United Nations has got the DMU as the international hub, for peace, justice, and strong institutions. So you automatically would think that UN peace ambassador who has a link with Leicester should be the obvious person, to come. And then we've also got from the climate side, David Attenborough. Now we wrote to him, and he wrote to us back to say he's interested, but he's just too busy. But
Yeah.
if our leaders were behind us, I think we can pull this off by September. And I think we should make every effort, because with the other side of this whole thing is that social prescribing is coming onto the scene now. This is the new way that the NHS is going to function. But since COVID and the mental health pandemic that's started already, actually, how do we address those kind of anxieties and the health issues? So if we're going to be working together, that event could bring out all of those leaders, the integrated care system services, the social prescribing. Then you've got the artists looking at peace, the ocean song. All of those things put together can make Leicester become an exemplar city for social change. I do believe that we can work together to achieve that. So let's all work from all the different angles that we're in.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like I said, I think for me, and I think that as well. Like Leicester, like I said, I'm Leicester born and bred. I love my city, and so I'm. And I think, and it is a city of the underdog. But if you look at the things that are happening in Leicester, like one of the best places in the country to work, one of the most entrepreneurial city, and then with the sports, we've got the Tigers, we've got Riders, we've got LCFC, we've got snooker play. Like we've got so much people who are at the top of their game, and
Absolutely.
I think for me, like we should be looking to be the top of whatever we're trying to do, because why not? We've got everything here. I think it's just about sometimes packaging things up the right way. It's about having the right people on board, like you say. And I do think there's been a long time. I think people call them the gatekeepers, like the people like at the very top and, kind of a little bit stuck in their ways. But I do feel like there's actually pressure coming from government as well now, where people know there has to be change. Not like they want change, there's going to have to be. And I think, like you say, with mental health and anxiety, it's never been this bad ever. Like I've been working in music for 13 years now. And I used to say in the beginning, maybe one person in every group might say they've got depression or anxiety. Now I'd say no lie, 18 to 25, I'm probably saying 80 to 90% of them are going to be having some kind of mental difficulty, whether they're actually being prescribed or not, or a social anxiety, or and it's hard, it's shocking to see how many young people are being debilitated literally by their own mental health, and I think the days of just chucking medication at it, it's not going to work. I think it needs to be, people need purpose, they need routine, they need stuff to look forward to, like not just tablets. We know it's a short-term fix, and it might help if you're at a really bad level and you're going to hurt yourself or whatever. But I think often, like if you get somebody exercising, involved in good stuff, like give them something to get passionate about. Often those
is that. Yeah,
and that's it. And often you do that, and that stuff starts to melt away, and I've seen it with music.
I think was it Tyler from Jab Don't Stab that came to that event on the Power to Change? He was saying about there's no point in removing the knives, having an amnesty or whatever, because they'll just get replaced, because the knives are all over the place in the house. Every household has it. You've got to change the people, and how do you change the people? They have to be able to be empowered to make the right choices and to want to make the right choices, and they can see the value in it, and that's when you're going to make change happen. But it has to be on an individual level, and that's a big task. And
I think, to be honest as well, I think with what we do, and I think that's one of the reasons why maybe I've struggled to get funding, because everything I do, like I do group work, and the group work's important, but I feel like where the magic really happens is working one to one with people and mentoring people, and giving that person their own individual. It's got to be their own journey for them, So as soon as you're trying to work with loads of people, it can work with like football and boxing and stuff, But at the end of the day, I think for me, it's only when I work once, but that's when I get real results, that it's like it's tangible and I can see this person's now, like getting better and better and better, like, and I've had it where I've got ex-offenders and I'll say, as long as you stay out of trouble, I'll give you studio time, and then the studio time ends and they end up back in trouble or back in jail, and it's because they've not got that positive influence, like when they're with me, they're around somebody who they can look up to and relate to, because I'm from the ends. I know about the street stuff, but I'm also, like rubbing shoulders with royalty or celebrities, or, so to see the fact that I've gone from rock bottom, and even deeper than that, and I don't mind sharing it. I was a heroin addict. I was a crack addict, and I was, for a lot of years, like I was taking drugs, and I didn't really have any ambition at all. My only ambition each day was just to get high. And I think a lot of that was just plastering over, like emotional scars or disappointment or whatever, and it's like once you've got stuff in your life that's good, it's like all of a sudden I can be really happy now with nothing, and all I need is to be doing what I love and to have something to look forward to and some inspiration, some aspiration.
Life.
Yeah.
I think we all need to get to that point where you just have gratitude for being alive. That is it, and then everything else just falls into place by itself, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I liked again about the event and about the peace education stuff, because I felt like that's exactly what that's about. Learn to just be grateful, learn to be, enjoy yourself and your surroundings. Like, and find that. And obviously it's harder for some people than others, but like it's the more we can do, the more role models, mentors, the more services, the more stuff we can do for them. And yeah, like you said, the social prescribing could be a big part of it.
Definitely.
I seen someone saying about Warning Zone. I know about Warning Zone. Warning Zone have been doing great work. And like I say, it's great as well that it's happening for young people, like, I think, there's a definite lack of services, and we know there is, and obviously, especially, it's been being cut back over the funding cuts, and it does seem like now finally there's going to be more stuff happening, and I think the more we can do for young people, the better. And like I say, I'm always going to concentrate on 18 plus personally, just because I feel like that's kind of a lot of people. Once you're an adult, people think, oh, you should be all right by now. Where it's like, I was 26 by the time I got some direction. I weren't young. I was 30 when I started my first business, so that's not young. And I think a lot of people, I've got people who I work with up to 55 who are still, like finding their way, or still want to come and try something creative, or, they want to learn, so I feel like services for adults are really important as well.
And like you say, you have to be doing something that you feel passionate about. So those people that you're saying 55 years old and still looking for, is because they never got to nurture their natural position, which is creativity. They maybe have gone into a job or not gone into any job because they were struggling to find the niche. But at the end of the day, they're still looking for something that makes them happy.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, isn't it? I think happy, I think that's a big word, because people often say to me, like, what's success? And I'll say, well, for me, I'm successful already because I'm happy. That's all I need. Like I've got somewhere to sleep. I've got a family that loves me. I love what I do. So I've not achieved everything I've set out to achieve yet, but that's a different, that's just for me, career success. Like real success is just waking up in the morning and feeling happy and I'm happy. I've got another day, like, and I think often it's like I'll use a person who I was working with. He's a genius, he got A stars all through school. He was training to be a doctor, but that was because his family, because he comes from an African background. and they wanted him to have a good job, be a doctor, you know. And I see it a lot, you know, people, be a doctor, be a lawyer, computer science, a job that people will think will bring money because money will bring success and stability. But he was depressed, so depressed, because all he wanted to do was be in the music industry, and he's ended up now having to. He gave up his doctor. He left in his third year, and he works with me now, and he's so much happier because he gets to follow his dreams, and he makes music every day, and he helps inspire other people to do their work. And is, like I say, he's a genius. Like, I've been with him now for, he's been part of my team for 5 years now, and but I've just let him spend that whole time just developing himself and finding his niche and his genre and his confidence. And it's like, we had a performance the other day, and it was amazing, you know, because he's just been practicing. And I know, like, he's got the potential. He can be famous. He can be rich. And once he's got that, then his family will kind of, that was the right decision. But obviously, for now, it's still going to be like, oh, he could have been a doctor, you know. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, I think it's just that thing about doing the wrong thing is not going to make you happy. You know, even if you've got money, some of the richest people are some of the most unhappy people because they realize they've spent the whole life doing something they don't really want to do just to earn money. And it's like, yeah, you might be happy while you're on holiday, but then you've still got the other 50 weeks a year where you may be doing a job that you don't want to do, you know, like in something that you're not passionate about. And I think that can often lead to mental health problems as well, because if you've not got passion and purpose, and you know, you're not really going to love, you're not going to love it. If you don't love what you do, you're going to struggle to be happy. So again, I think that also is why I'm quite keen to try and help educate the older generation as well, you know, like of what is possible, you know, like not just monetary, but different types of jobs, especially again, because my sector is the creative industries, you know, and I feel like that's something where often it's creatives that get their dreams stamped out of them, because you've got to have a lot of self-belief to believe you're gonna make it in this industry, you know. And I think people will stamp it out of you if you let them. So I think it's important to let people try, you know. At least if you try and you didn't make it, at least you tried, you know, rather than getting to be 50 or 60 or 70 and then like, oh, I could sing, but I never really. And I see that a lot as well. Oh, I was great. I used to do that, but then I had kids, or well, then I got a job, and you know, it happens so often. People, like, I suppose they give up on their dreams for somebody else, whether it's their parent, whether it's their partner, whether it's their child. But I've got a mentality where it's like, well, I'm just going to follow my dream no matter what. And, you know, like, if it pays off, great. If it don't, I'm going to be happy while I'm doing it, which in return will make the people around me happier because I'll be happier.
Yeah. And it takes courage to do that. I think at the end of the day, to do what makes you happy or brings you gratitude or whatever, you know, cause, for example, doesn't pay for itself, but it makes me happy, you know. And the people that are involved in it, they are definitely giving that impression that they are happier being involved than not. So to me, it's a success, you know, it's a real thing. But I think you're right. We all need to work together, and we need to sort of multiply this positivity because it's so needed in this day and age. So
Yeah. See, I see this comment as well. This is so true. Like, so Banu says that she volunteers to help the city, and that's what makes her happy. And I think, again, it's often it's not financial, is it? And I think that's the thing. It's about just doing what makes you happy, because I think a lot of people, when they retire, if there's nothing really there to keep that fire burning, you see people decline really fast. And I think so. It's really important to kind of have that, you know, like, yeah, have that, you know, that outlet to do whatever it is you want to do, you know, whether it's help put your city on your map, whether it's help a local school group, whether it's pass on some skills to someone else, you know. I think it's really important. So
well, I think then that brings us to exactly an hour from the time we started. I know we were a bit late, but it's 2:15, so I think we've had a full hour. And I thank you very much, Yasin. It's been great to talk to you today. And I think the message today from all that we've said and all the comments we've had, let's make Leicester an exemplar city. work together for positivity and be proud and bring peace and prosperity to Leicester.
Sounds like a plan to me. I'm definitely up for
Absolutely.
that.
September, probably September the 17th. Here we come.
Is
Internet.
it
So, by
17th?
the way, that
Okay.
week
Well, I'll talk
is
to you about that because I'm going to LA on the 9th to the 17th, the 9th to the 17th. So if I get back in time, I'm sure I can still arrange some entertainment. I'll be able to do something, but I might miss that because I'm going.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I
going
don't
to,
want to miss it. But that's also the week of the British Science Festival, which is the GMU is hosting. So it's a
uh,
very important time for Leicester. So I think if we can achieve it for the 17th, would be ideal.
well,
And
whatever I can do, I'll do. Like I say, I might have to miss it though. I'm going to LA to meet all the music supervisors to try and.
we can miss a day.
No, it's for a week. It's for a week. I'm going to Hollywood to try and get music and
No,
films. So
I'm joking.
I'll FaceTime.
Yeah, could do that. You come online. Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you very
Yasin.
much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon. And
Will
thank you
do.
to anyone and everyone that may be listening now or catches up on YouTube on this lovely interview. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.